Welcome, everybody. I'm Bernadette Montana,
I'm David Kronhofer.
and welcome to that rock, punk, and metal show. Today, we're going to be focusing, I should say it's our premiere show, so I'm really excited about it. And we're focusing on performers, rock performers, who have appeared in horror films. Some of them pretty campy, too.
Oh boy,
Now,
the list goes on.
I wanted to focus just a little bit as to why we are here. So, music has always been a huge love of mine, and Dave and my husband know this, and Nikki and everybody else here. I used to promote metal shows and rock shows, hardcore especially, in the 80s here in Orange County, New York. But in my formative days growing up in New York City, I was heavily involved with the punk scene. Punk and hardcore were my biggest loves at the time, and industrial music. And I learned a lot of the ropes. I used to work at ABC and worked for various different publications and stuff, and did interviews with a lot of rock performers like Marilyn Manson and others. So I said, why not do this? And Dave and I always have such a love for music, and we just said one day, let's do this. And I'm gonna kind of shift this off to you and
Well,
your
you started.
experience.
I'm just here for the ride.
No. You're an amazing performer.
I've been in and out of local bands for probably over 30 years now.
Mm-hmm.
My latest is Zero Tolerance. We've been together 6 years. Been on the stage at the Chance numerous times. Brian's Backyard Barbecue, places that don't even exist anymore, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
It's a real shame. There's nowhere for local bands to play anymore. It's horrible. It's hard for, unless you're a party band.
Well, that's a passion of yours too, because Dave is really passionate about bringing local bands in here, and we get to talk to them, perhaps perform.
Because everybody was local once.
Yeah.
Everybody was.
A lot of the dialogue between the two of us is the differences in the music. I kind of like the rip your face off stuff and the growly stuff, and you pretty much like the symphonic.
I don't know if I'd call Pantera symphonic.
No, that's true. All right, you got a point there. You got a point there. So how would you describe?
I have a very, very wide variety of music. I listen to everything from Charlie Daniels to Slayer.
Right.
You know,
I would say
and,
fall into that. I kind of like that, but I tend to
just
like the heavier
whole,
stuff.
yeah, just I don't know, the growling and the yelling and the grunting and the groaning just doesn't.
Yeah, I kind
can't
of hear
do
that
it.
a lot.
I can't do it.
And I
can't do it.
absolutely
God,
love
I
it.
can't do Guns N' Roses.
Oh no. Send your emails to him. Send it to him. It has nothing to do with me on this one.
David Lee Roth. I'll turn off David Lee Roth.
Oh no. Now my hubby's gonna get upset at you. So there's differences in the music, but we're passionate about music in general, and that's the reason why we wanted to do this. You know,
And we know a lot, and I'm sure there's a lot we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sure there's a
maybe-
lot we could teach you, and there's a lot you can teach us.
that's the exciting part about it. That
Yes.
would be the thing. So
Always a learning experience. A lot I don't know, a lot I do know.
isn't it awesome?
And I'm hoping to
It's
find
awesome.
out.
It's awesome.
I'm ready to learn more.
We went to see Judas Priest not too long ago, and that was really amazing.
Halford is still incredible.
Yeah, wow. And between the costume changes and then the music, it was just, I had such a great time.
He changes more than my wife changes shoes. Every song, the guy has something different on.
Every song, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful show. I thought, it would be a lot of fun to talk about horror, because obviously we're coming up to Halloween, and the idea stemmed from our love for music and horror. So most people know about Rob Zombie and all of the different movies he's a part of and stuff, but we wanted to kind of go back a bit into a more historical
Way back.
way back, so we were discussing
30 years?
Yeah, at least, right? Well, I'm looking at my notes, and Rocky Horror came out in 1975.
Wow.
And 1975.
40 years.
Yeah.
40, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you think I can't add. So this just doesn't even.
More than 40 years.
But it's amazing. And
75.
yep,
Damn.
I used to do Magenta. So I would go to the H Street Playhouse and down in the village and dress up. I certainly have the hair for it. And dress up and get up on stage and perform Magenta's parts and sing and dance and do all the crazy things.
And when was that?
Oh my God, 78. 78, 79, yeah.
78,
It's going way
79.
back. I'm born and raised in Manhattan, so it's something that everybody did.
Which is funny because in 75 when the movie came out, it tanked.
It's cheesy.
Total flop.
I get it. I get it. It's cheesy, but it's so much
tanked.
fun.
And now it's got an insane cult following.
The music is amazing. Look at the actors in that film.
It's not even the music. It goes way beyond the music.
It's
Just a total cheese factor.
There's a lot of films that kind of fall into that.
Oh, hell yeah.
But,
hell yeah.
you know,
but nothing
that was,
as iconic as Rocky Horror.
Well, that was Susan Sarandon's first
Feature film.
and she sang in it. That was her voice in it. So that wasn't overdubbed with somebody else. It wasn't done that way. And she sounds amazing in it. She has some range. So it's really nice to see that.
Yeah.
And then Barry Bostwick. And of
She's
course,
more than just a pretty face.
well, yeah, no doubt. And then Meatloaf.
Or a steak dinner, whatever you want to call him. He ended up as a steak dinner in that movie.
He was Meatloaf, basically. You know, and that song, Hapatootie. Because
And a little tidbit.
What?
Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt, episode 44. What's cooking? What's cooking is Meatloaf.
It would be Meatloaf.
Meatloaf ended up on the dinner plate once again.
You know, he wound up being a pretty good actor. I mean, he's been in a lot of films since. So I'm really kind of impressed.
All small parts, but
Well, Fight Club. That wasn't a small part.
I never saw it.
Oh my. No, he plays a very emotional type of character who needs to get in contact with his masculine side through Fight Club. It's a whole thing. We could do a whole show just on that. You know,
Never saw Fight Club.
It's worth it. And he really was wonderful on that. And the other films, we had, I'm looking at the different actors. So we had Susan Sarandon and then Barry Bostwick, who has been in a lot of sitcoms and shows on TV now.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. I mean, he carried a whole show. He had many shows, right? There was Clue. He was in afterwards, but he played Frankenfurter. He was on Roseanne.
He was on Roseanne. Yes,
now that one I did not know.
The con artist.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
I
he's a
can
con
see that
artist.
happening.
And he was also the stage actor in the original production of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, now that I knew.
So were the four main characters were the original stage actors.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Magenta, Riff Raff, and I can't remember the other one.
Richard O'Brien, which was Riff Raff, and Susan Sarandon, Janet, Barry Bostwick. I'm trying to think of all of the different characters. Nell, she played Columbia. I think she was,
yes, the other original stage actor.
Right,
Yes.
I got it. So the soundtrack is just amazing. It's all rock. It's got that 50s campy side to it, and there isn't a bad song on that soundtrack. And it's one of the first, to me, one of the first movies that really incorporated horror. It as campy as it is.
Yeah, I don't know if it.
I think it was meant to be a B film.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely meant to.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt in my mind.
It's almost that you're almost, in reality, they were going to make two sequels.
I never knew about the sequels.
And there's a part of you that's thankful that they didn't. Because, no, I mean, not in a bad way, but what can you do to that movie? Right. Anything you do to that movie could potentially destroy the original.
Well, that would make sense because since it has that campy feeling and
yes, how are you going to reproduce that?
No, you can't.
I mean, they remade it for TV in 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and it was horrible.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it.
It just didn't. It didn't even come close to touching the original. No,
it didn't have the feel.
It was just Tim Curry just was Frank, and there's nobody else that can play that part.
No, but he was in that, wasn't he? From what I understand, I think he played Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
In the remake.
Very small part.
Yeah, but I think he has since had a stroke and stuff, so he is not singing anymore at this point.
Right.
But he's got a long legacy of phenomenal music to fall back on.
Right.
But it was like that was one of my first films that ever music got me in there. I mean, there was the movie Tommy, and then but that's not
yes.
horror.
Right.
But there's some parts of that, they get into it. But again, that wasn't horror or anything.
Right.
And there were so many others, but Rocky Horror was the first because it was so interactive and you felt like you were part of it. I mean, when we go to the vineyards here, everybody dresses up, and every Halloween, and we all get dressed up and throw toilet paper and everything else around.
And that's what made the movie take off.
Yeah.
The midnight showings.
Midnight
people
showings
dressing
everywhere.
up, people playing the parts, people yelling back at the characters on the screen.
I've done plenty of that. Have you ever gone?
I went once.
Did you?
Yes, once.
And I wasn't a part of that?
You were not.
Oh, I'm insulted.
I can't even tell you when it was. It had to be 30 years ago.
Probably before I met you. Because I met you
No.
around, because I met you around 92, 93.
No, it was after that.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because then I'm insulted.
Yes. And they actually did make they made another movie, not really a sequel, Brad and Janet.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Was it with the same actors?
It was horrible. Or so I've heard. I've never seen it. But again, it was another movie that supposedly just tanked, and the original skyrocketed.
I never heard of
and
it.
Brad and Janet never did anything.
I never heard
did
anything
There
about
was other
that.
screenplays that just got lost in no man's land.
The soundtrack was so good, but the best soundtrack is, to a horror film, to me, we were just discussing this, to me, is The Crow.
There's another movie. Have you seen The Other Crows?
There's 3 of them?
There's 3 of them.
Yeah, right, baby? We just saw that.
The Crow,
Right?
City of Angels.
Right, Iggy Pop is
Horrible movie.
But Iggy Pop is in that, right?
Horrible,
Okay, I
horrible,
forgot about
horrible,
that.
horrible movie. Mm-hmm. And the other one is
Flew out the window.
who's the girl in The Vampire Lestat? Kirsten Dunst?
Oh, yes.
She was in the last Crow movie.
Was she?
Yes, she was.
Now I'm going to have
Not
to re-see
good.
that. The music.
Not good.
I think we're there for when it comes to subsequent Crows.
The Crow, you can't touch it.
Iggy was fun in the second one, though.
And the
Iggy.
soundtrack, Pantera, and
Right.
great
Right.
soundtrack.
Well, and the first one is 9 Inch Nails is in that.
Mm-hmm.
The Cure is in that. And so much more. I mean, that soundtrack you could just listen to on its own, even if the movie wasn't there.
But no,
So we were talking about the soundtrack to The Crow. And we were
and
mentioning...
the 2 horrible sequels. City of Angels. I watched that movie and I had to turn it off. I couldn't even watch the whole movie.
Oh, no. I
No.
said, if Iggy Pop's in it, I'm watching it. All right? So I'm a big Iggy Pop fan. But...
Well, my biggest problem was The Crow, which is a phenomenal film, and then City of Angels. It's like The Crow and City of Angels.
I get
It
it.
just doesn't, I can't, I couldn't do it. You
you?
go in expecting it to be blown away, and
Well, now I'm going to embarrass you. Aha. Do you remember?
Let me know how that works out for you.
I know it. But do you remember that there was a Halloween show? Not a
Paul
not-
Lane's Halloween show with Kiss on it? No,
Wait.
that's not it? No, that's not where you're going?
No,
Oh,
wait,
okay.
wait. There was one where Rock Fantasy was having one of their shows. It wasn't a Halloween show, but I was dressed kind of like a nun, and I took a chainsaw to Barney. I don't know if you remember that one,
No,
but
I
yeah, that
don't.
was a whole thing.
I
Yeah,
don't.
that was
No.
that's a whole other story. But there was one Halloween. It was Casey's. We went. It was
Casey's,
Metal
okay.
Night, and it was a Halloween show.
The only night we
and
ever went?
You dressed like the Crow.
Oh, yes.
Ha! I told you.
Yes.
And I was a dead.
I have a picture of that somewhere.
Yes. If you have that picture, I've been looking for ages, just
But
to
it's
have
not,
something like that.
It's not at Casey's. It was because I worked at Amscan, and I dressed
Right.
up. I dressed up during the day also.
Oh, that's awesome. I was dressed as a dead hooker. So I was.
And I looked pretty damn good.
You looked awesome. I know that there's a picture between us.
Somewhere.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so.
I dressed up as Peter Criss one year.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I had the
There's a
fur
couple-
boots and everything.
Couple of
man.
good ones.
I'm
Couple of
a
good
play
ones.
game.
I had a gold lame dress that I tore up, and I had fake blood all over it, and I had teased my hair out and had dead leaves and everything in there, and I had ripped stockings and one shoe on, one shoe off, and I was dragging a skeleton behind me. It was attached with handcuffs, and so I was dragging.
So you were going to a Misfit show, is what
I
you're
was
telling
going
me.
to a Misfit show. I've done many of that. Many Misfit shows.
To get back to our movies.
Yeah, well, we always seem to do that.
I know, it's terrible. No, not really, but let's follow Susan Sarandon. Her next horror film,
Right. The Hunger.
The Hunger. Again, another movie that tanked at the box office.
You know, I can understand why, but visually is one of the most beautiful. It's like a whole series of photographs, and it has that ambiance
Oh,
to
yeah.
it, and
Well, that's what the
look and
director was
feel.
going for. He was more interested in how the film looked than the content of the movie.
That seems to be a little.
He succeeded.
I do enjoy
He
the movie,
succeeded.
though.
It was, I mean, even Ebert said it was a god-awful vampire movie.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, The Hunger is really a vampire film. And Catherine Deneuve and David Bowie are the main stars in this film. And
Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon, because when Bowie exits at some point.
It's very different from your average vampire movie.
Yeah, there's
in
nothing
that
normal about this.
the vampires age.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. They do.
Once they get to a certain point, there's nothing they can do to bring themselves back to their unliving
Right.
existence.
Unless you're the lead like she is. Catherine
Yes.
Deneuve is the main character and she doesn't age. And
Did you know that when she was cast for this movie, she was over 40 years old?
oh, she looks pretty damn good for 40 then.
She was
She looks
more-
pretty good, pretty damn good now.
She was over 40 years old when she was cast for this movie.
Really.
Yes.
Really. Nah, that I didn't know. And the reason why this kind of fits in, we were talking about Susan Sarandon, but it has a very gothic feel. So
Oh, yes.
it opens up with Pete Murphy singing Bela Lugosi's Dead. So the music of Bauhaus is featured in this. And the opening scenes, you see Pete Murphy on a fence, and he's singing. And as he's singing, they kind of go into, David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve hunting. And hunting to a vampire is just a pickup. So
Yeah.
they pick up a couple, and then
A club, and
in
they...
a club, right?
Yes.
Right, and then it kind of goes into that, and I love the
And that's
music
when
of Bauhaus.
another little tidbit, Willem Dafoe is in the movie.
You just hit me with that, and I went,
Yeah.
I can't. And I've seen that movie 100 times.
Yep. He's just a local street thug in the very beginning of the movie, just a cameo.
He likes doing odd films.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite character
But,
actors around.
Susan Sarandon made that movie
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna
She
agree
changed
with
the
it.
movie. She literally changed the movie from the original screenplay.
I never read any of the books. You had mentioned that there were
There was 3 books.
3 books. Okay.
Yes, there were 3 books. As a matter of fact, when Susan Sarandon was cast for this part, she didn't know there was a book. She had no
I
idea.
didn't even know it until you brought it up to me.
But when she had her scene with Catherine Deneuve, she was originally supposed to be drunk.
That wouldn't fit.
Exactly.
I just don't
That's
understand
why
that.
she just felt it would be more relative to the film for her to be a willing participant.
Yeah, I'm stumbling on my words. Her character in the movie is a very strong character. She pretty much is her own woman
Yes.
in this, and she makes the decision whether or not she wants to be Catherine Deneuve's partner in
Yes.
life.
And then originally in the screenplay, she was supposed to commit suicide. Her character was supposed to commit suicide.
What is that? That
She
doesn't
couldn't. She couldn't deal with the fact of being an addict.
fit. Oh,
The character couldn't deal with the fact of being an addict. In this particular instance, she was addicted to human blood.
Right, absolutely.
And her character had a very hard time accepting that.
That's an interesting concept because basically the idea of vampires, is really more sexual. It's not
Oh, absolutely.
addiction. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So blood is a sexual fluid in this case.
It's an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, and they procreate using blood rather than the standard ways of procreating. So with that in mind, it's a very erotic or exotic thing.
It's a very different vampire movie than.
It's very exotic.
Yeah, and
just
Lost Boys
beautiful.
were coming out shortly thereafter.
Now the Lost Boys that's taken it to another level now.
And the Lost Boys is a lot different than the original screenplay was too.
That you had mentioned that also. I didn't know about anything about that.
Although
But-
the vampires on the Lost Boys were supposed to be teenagers. They were supposed to be 12, 13-year-old boys.
So we take out that in the movie it's a little sexy too.
Yes.
There's some of those points.
that was totally different. The Frog Brothers were supposed to be 8-year-old Boy Scouts in the original
Well, they
screenplay.
act pretty young in the film itself.
They do.
But 8 years old.
Yeah.
How you become a vampire hunter, as they were, at 8 years old.
That's a great question.
That's another film where the music is just amazing. Like I think of Echo and the Bunnymen. And their version of People Are Strange, and it's long, it's elongated because
But it's
Ray
amazing.
Manzarek
It's
is in it.
ridiculously close to the original.
Oh, the
So the Doors
Echo and the
version.
Bunny, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
You
well,
listen
Ray
to-
Manzarek's in it,
Yeah.
so he obviously had an awful lot to say about it, and it's just
The director's cut, the extended version.
really has the extended version in it.
Well, the song, the
Right.
extended version, right? Yeah, they probably added another minute to that song.
That's Cry Little Sister, and now Marilyn Manson
yes.
just remade that, and it's just
Yes.
it sends me there. That
then there's
remake
the-
is just wonderful.
Age-old conflict.
Oh.
Was Grandpa a vampire?
You know, you had me thinking about that, and I would say yeah. I would say he had to, because how old was that car that he had?
Oh,
And
yeah.
he says he never
yeah.
takes it out and everything. And when you had mentioned that to me, it brought me to that film and thinking about all
Makes you
old
think
stuff.
about it.
It does. You
All
know,
the time he spends with the Widow Johnson. Is there a Widow Johnson? Or
Oh,
is he
really?
out hunting?
Are you serious? Oh, you should have never done that to me now. Now there's going to be a lot of... If any of you find that out, please send that to us. Actually, direct it to him. This way he could do all the work.
I
on
tried. I
this
couldn't
one.
find out.
I had no idea.
It's just back and forth. Everybody's, oh, yes, he was. Oh, no, he wasn't. Oh, yes, he was. What's in the bottle at the end of the movie? What's he drinking?
Oh,
No.
well, thank you very much. Now I have to find that out.
And how does it that these vampires are in his house and he crashes through the front gate and spears the vampires? How does he know the vampires are in his house? How does he know?
He's been there too
Because he's a
long?
vampire and he knows them when there's other vampires around.
Damn it. Now I definitely... Is this based on a book, do you know?
I have no idea.
I have to take a look at that and find out, see if they changed that up. But I love that the whole feel of the Lost Boys, and again, that soundtrack is just wonderful.
Yes.
So,
and there was also supposed to be an alternate ending to the Lost Boys.
I didn't know that.
At the end of the movie, the camera
He's
was
so
supposed
good at this.
camera was supposed to pan back into the hotel,
Right?
their lair.
Right.
The end of the movie.
The one that's
underground,
caved in?
yes,
Yeah.
and that's on the edge of the cliff. Mm-hmm. The end of the movie, the original ending, or the alternate ending, I should say, camera is supposed to pan back into the hotel to a mural on the wall of the hotel. Pans in close up of the mural, and there's a man standing on the boardwalk with 14 boys standing in front of him.
14?
4
Oh,
teenage,
14s. Okay, got it.
4 teenage boys
Got it.
on the boardwalk. And if you look at originally, if you looked at the picture, one of them was David.
Oh.
God, no, I can't
No,
remember
put
his
me on the spot
frickin'
and I
name.
lose it.
Can't remember his name.
Okay.
And the other one was Max. The older gentleman was Max.
Right.
The vampire
Right.
leader.
Oh.
And then it was supposed to fade to black.
Do you know if there's a way to find that alternate version? Or
No.
maybe I can YouTube it or
No,
find...
you won't find it.
No?
Nope. It was never filmed.
Oh.
It was to the point where the mural on the wall of the hotel
Right.
was never painted.
Oh, now, how'd you even find this out? Just through your research?
Yep.
I know, because that's one of my favorite films. Again, the music is just so good that the soundtrack stands on its own,
Oh, yeah.
So,
And Tina Turner, saxophone player,
Tina
is the
Turner,
guy on the
yeah.
boardwalk. Mm-hmm. Him and all
Well-
his muscle-bound, steroid, ponytail.
Tina Turner was in the movie Tommy also. So when you think about,
Yeah.
you know, but then didn't think we should do a whole other show just on that one movie. You know,
We could have did a whole show on Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I know just on itself. So I know we kind of have to wrap this up now, and we wanted to just put that out and thank everybody for being with us, and let us know how you feel about this. You know, what kind of
What do you want to?
information-
What do you want to see? What do you want to hear about? What do you want to know about?
Yeah.
What can you teach us? I also wanted to put it out to all the local bands.
Yeah, please.
Send us audio, video, bios, anything.
Yeah.
Whatever you got, we'll put them on. We'll get them on. We want everybody else to hear what you've got. We want everybody else to hear what you're passionate about, what makes you proud, what you do to help fulfill the lives of other people with your music.
Yeah, maybe we can fill that void. You know, as Dave mentioned earlier, there aren't too many places now that younger people and younger bands can perform at, or go to a
Especially-
show for $10 instead of $150.
Especially the type of music that we love.
Yeah,
Heavy metal, hardcore,
Mm-hmm.
punk. There's not too many places around here anyway that you have the ability to
yeah, and be affordable enough for all of us to be able
and
to
make
go.
some money.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. You don't go out there to do it free. You don't spend all your money on gas and equipment and everything else
No.
to go out there and perform for free.
No, the industry is so different than when I was performing.
Even
You know, when
20
I was
years ago.
when I was when I was promoting a lot of these bands, the
booking.
industry was
They were
totally
everywhere.
different. Very different now.
There was a dozen places to play in Orange County.
There was Sportland, and all just I can go on and
Chance,
on and
the
on.
Class.
Yeah, and now those places don't exist. And while there's a lot of places in the city, it costs an awful lot of money.
To get
and now
there.
bands have to pay to be on a tour. It used to be that
Yes,
the,
pay to
you know,
play.
Yeah, it is, and that's
horrible.
too much for young people to be able to do it. So we'd like to be able to
Help
get
you
that
out.
music out, right? So if you would send us your clips, send us your suggestions, and for now we're going to be changing our email address up soon enough, but at BernadetteMontana@gmail.com, and send us your clips. We are going to be switching to a new email soon, but for now, if you would send us that information, both Dave and I will get back to you. And we promise to get back. We will answer every
Yes.
email, and send us your submissions. We'd like to see what's out there, see what you'd like to do. And yeah.
Put something in print giving us permission to distribute
good
your
point.
material.
Yeah.
Whether it's videos or audio or whatever the case may be, we need to know that it's okay by you to put this stuff out there for other people to see.
Good point.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, bud.
I get them once in a while.
It happens. It happens, you know. But thank you, everybody.
And have a good night. We'll see you soon.